Yo, what time the plane leaving?
Hello, everyone. This episode, which is episode number 3, it's going to be, this is live from the car. Live from the car. So this is something that's going to be different. Most of my podcasts will not be from the vehicle, but I am a busy man, and sometimes you got to do what you have to do to continue on with this great show. So today we're going to talk about Royal Caribbean, and I have a wonderful travel advisor. Her name is Dawn, and she loves Royal Caribbean. So I have a bunch of questions to ask her, and we're going to get some feedback, and we're going to get to hear her opinions about the different questions that I have. So without further ado, let me see if I can add her. And we have Dawn.
Hey.
Hello.
Hello, Michael. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Okay, awesome. So let's get this started. Where are you located?
So I am located in Wisconsin, which is snowy, and that's why we like to get out of the Wisconsin weather and enjoy some cruising every year.
Okay, good. So how long have you been a travel advisor?
So I have been a travel advisor, I'll say officially since 2019.
Okay.
Although I've been, the travel industry took a little bit of a hit in 20 and 21, right?
Right.
And the reason I became a travel advisor is because I found I was planning so many trips for friends and family and offering suggestions, and I was doing all this work, and I'm like, and then they would book it, right? And I'm like, well, maybe I should just make a little bit of money off of this and become a travel advisor myself, because then I get additional insight into the cruise lines. I get additional tips I can share, as well as I get access to group rates and can even offer sometimes, my friends and family and other clients better prices than what they can get on the internet.
Right. That's true.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for that. And so we're going to get into Royal Caribbean and why you love Royal Caribbean so much. So how many Royal Caribbean cruise ships, or how many cruises have you been on with Royal?
So I've been on about 15 cruises. 13 of those have been with Royal Caribbean.
Okay.
I do like to try some of the other cruise lines just to kind of keep my finger on the pulse and something else out there, but so far there hasn't been. Royal Caribbean is my favorite. And we also have 3 more cruises booked for this year. And we've got cruises booked for next year as well. So we try to take 3 to 4 cruises a year.
Okay. So let's get into it. So why do you love Royal Caribbean so much compared to maybe the other cruise lines?
Yeah. So we first cruised probably about 15 years ago, maybe 14 years ago. And we hadn't really taken family vacations before then. It was pretty much staying local around Wisconsin. And when I had finally gotten my husband to agree to a vacation, we thought that cruising would be good because you're contained. You do get to see a variety of options. And one thing that Royal Caribbean does really well, and they do a lot really well, but one thing that they do well is provide entertainment for your kids. Our kids at the time were 10 and 16. So old enough to be on their own. We didn't have to watch them all the time. And Royal has a wonderful adventure club for the kids. And even now, our kids are still in contact and have made with friends that they made on that ship 15 years ago.
Awesome.
So, so for us, it was just such a great experience. The food was amazing. The service was outstanding. It was so fun to see the different ports of call and introduce our kids to areas outside of Wisconsin.
Okay.
And Royal just did it so well that we kind of fell in love with them and said, okay, they are it.
Okay.
And they haven't let us down yet. We've we've really not had anything bad happen or any disappointing experiences on Royal.
Okay. That's good. That's real good. All right. So what is your most favorite Royal Caribbean ship and why?
You know, it's like asking which one of my kids is my favorite, right? They're all your favorite on different days.
Right.
Um, so for us, what we really like about cruising is we enjoy seeing the different ports of call. While we do sometimes do cruises that are very heavy in sea days, really the itinerary is the biggest pull for us. So I would say that Jewel is our favorite,
Oh,
and it is one of the smaller ships. So a lot of people who are wanting kind of the big bang of the cruise lines and everything that they have, they might find Jewel a little disappointing. But for us, which then means it can go into ports of call that the bigger Oasis class ships can't go into. So we've probably, out of the 13 cruises that we've cruised with Royal on,
okay.
probably 5 itineraries have just been so much better than some of the other ships.
Okay. And where does it leave out from?
It's this summer. It is leaving out of Amsterdam, and it is
Ah,
doing the British Isles, which we're
okay.
currently booked on.
Okay.
Um, that's one of our trips this year. And then it also does like upper Norway, upper Northern Europe.
Okay.
So that's where it is current, or that's where it will be this summer.
Okay. Cool. Cool. All right. That sounds good. All right. So geez. All right. So let's kind of like dive into like the experience with Royal Caribbean. And if some people are watching, may have never cruised before, or maybe they have never cruised on Royal Caribbean before. Can you kind of go over some of the complimentary options on
Yep.
Caribbean cruise ships, or any specialty restaurants that you kind of want to highlight for people to try out?
Yeah. So, once again, and this is, so anybody who's really looking to book a cruise, these are all things that I ask, right? What's important to them? Because there is a huge difference between, let's say, the Brilliance of the Sea, which is one of the smaller ships, versus Wonder of the Sea or the new Icon of the Seas that's coming, right? So there's so many options depending on where you go, or which ship you choose. Every ship is going to have the main dining room, and the main dining room is going to be a little bit more formal dinner. So it'll be a properly set table, multiple courses, very, very high service levels. Every ship will have that. Every ship will also have the Windjammer, which is going to be your buffet. Huge variety of food. You go when it's convenient for you. You find a table, go through and sit down. So every ship will have that. They will also have some kind of cafe, where you could get like a pizza or a small bite of a small sandwich. You can get snacks. So every ship, regardless of their size, are going to have those 3 complimentary dining options. Now, the larger ships are going to have additional options. There's a Sorrento's pizza on a lot of the larger class of ships. You can
That's pizza
also,
you can get.
you what? Did I get you on that one? You
Sorrento's,
like,
Sorrento's is one of the best pizza on any cruise ship.
yeah, Sorrento's has good pizza. And you can usually, even if the cruise line, even if your specific ship doesn't have a Sorrento shop, you can get pizza. You just have to go to like that little cafe. But they have a complimentary hot dog place on some of the larger ships. So I would encourage, when you're booking a trip, make sure you ask your advisor and or do some research yourself as to what is complimentary, because each ship is going to be a little bit different as to what's complimentary. The larger the ship, the more complimentary options.
That's true.
So then we go into specialty restaurants, which my husband and I, after so many cruises, we only do the unlimited dining package, which is the
Oh,
specialty restaurants.
okay.
Um, so we love the specialty specialty restaurants. I love trying all the different ones. Some of them are open for lunch, mostly open for dinner though. You'll find specialty restaurants open on on sea days, not on port days, most likely. So you do have to pay extra for the specialty dining. It can range, I think, $70 a person, depending upon which one you want to do. The larger ships have like a Johnny Rockets, which is going to be a la carte. So you would just pay for whatever you want to eat. But each ship, regardless of size, will always have a Chops, which is a steakhouse. They will have typically a Giovanni's, unless they've switched, or a Jamie Oliver's, which is either one of those is going to offer Italian. And then there's usually an Azumi, which is a Japanese sushi, and then other Japanese items as well. So pretty much every ship will have those three. You'll also have opportunities for like a chef's table, which is a wine tasting. Wine is paired with different courses. So every ship will have at least those three options. Once again, you get on the big ships and you just have more options, right?
Yeah.
So on the Oasis class, you'll have 150 Central Park, which is usually, I wouldn't call it a steak place. It's just fine dining. The larger ones, the Oasis class has Wonderland, which I don't know if you've ever been to a Wonderland, Mike, but let me tell you, it's unique food, very unique food.
It is. It's very unique. I can say
very unique.
Yeah.
Very unique. I will tell you, we tried it on our cruise in December, and it was not for my husband, but that's okay. It's not for everybody.
Right.
He really didn't like the character meowing at everybody who walked in the door.
Oh, really?
It was kind of irritating him a little bit. So, but I will tell you, if you really want an experience, Wonderland is kind of fun. It is. It's an Alice in Wonderland theme for anybody who's wondering. And then you've got portside barbecue on some of the ships. You have Sabre, which is going to be Mexican. So there's lots of different options. And many people will ask me, should I buy the unlimited dining plan? And I always say, you know what? If you've never cruised before, no, do not buy the unlimited dining plan. I think that, especially when you're trying a new cruise line, give the other options a chance. See if you like the main dining room. See if you like the Windjammer. I do think it's nice to maybe have one or two dinners at a specialty restaurant so you can try that. But really the main dining room, that's really an experience unto itself if you haven't cruised before, or you don't eat at a lot of fancy dining places, because it is kind of fancy dining, right? So is amazing on cruise ships. It really is good, and Royal does it very well.
Right. That's true. And it's really nice. The dining venues on Royal Caribbean are really, really beautiful. So
gorgeous.
Yes. All right, so we're going to continue. That was a great breakdown of all the different complimentary and specialty dining options in Royal Caribbean. So, like I said, if you have never cruised before or never cruised in Royal Caribbean, you have plenty of options.
Plenty.
So now let's go into entertainment. Some of the entertainment, some of the activities that will happen during a cruise. What does Royal Caribbean? What are some things that Royal Caribbean does?
Mm-hmm. So, Royal Caribbean, like really most ships, most cruise lines, they offer, you can expect to see on every ship, regardless of class and size, a comedian. They'll fly a comedian in, and we've seen some phenomenal, really big name comedians. There's usually musical people, I would say, playing throughout some of the bars. You'll see a live pianist or a live guitarist. Every ship is going to have a main theater. So on our recent cruise on the Harmony, we were on the Harmony. They played movies in the theater. When it wasn't being used for entertainment. And once again, the entertainment is going to depend on your class of ships. So when you work with a travel advisor, they should be asking you what you want out of your travels, right? So for my husband and I, we're not really big on entertainment. For us, it's all about the ports of call. But the larger ships, they're going to have Broadway plays. We saw Mamma Mia on Allure early last year. Greece is currently showing on Harmony. So Broadway productions are on the larger Oasis class ships. Like I said, you can expect to see comedians. Some of the ships have ice skating rinks. So not only can you ice skate, so make sure you bring some long pants and socks if you're wanting to ice skate. You can see ice shows. There are water shows also. So on the Oasis class, there's I don't want to call it an aquarium, but there's a big pool in the back that they use for water shows. And then they do aerial trapeze there as well. So, it's just, there's so much to do. You will never be bored. Because
Right.
if like shows aren't your thing, there's always trivia playing. There's a casino, so you can lose a lot of money and or win a lot of money in the casino. Got bumper cars. They always have a miniature golf course.
Yep.
They have on the Oasis class, you can find table tennis. There's basketball court, so you can always pick up basketball. There's slides. I mean, honestly, my God, there's so much to do, and
Yeah.
there's not enough days, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. That's true. So yeah. So there's plentiful amounts of activities on
So many.
entertainment on with Royal Caribbean. One thing that I do like about Royal Caribbean is if you're into as you mentioned, well, if you're into like the Broadway shows, the
Mm-hmm.
Royal Caribbean has like the Grease, they have Hairspray, they have Cats, they have all of those
Yes.
um Broadway shows that you would see in like New York City. They have them on the cruise ship. So
And their staff, their entertainment staff is really phenomenal.
yeah,
So the people who are putting on those shows, and if there isn't the Broadway show, right, you do still at least have the Royal Caribbean singers and dancers, and they really do have good people. So I'm
yeah,
always amazed at how talented their entertainment staff is.
yes. Okay, all right. So with Royal Caribbean, there's a lot of choices for food. There's a lot of choices of entertainment,
Yes.
and now let's move into more so of like the destinations. And so, what ports or what port has been like your favorite? What ports do you like that you have been to on Royal Caribbean?
Yeah. Once again, you're kind of asking me to choose my favorite child.
It could be more than one. So more than one port. I don't know if you like all the ports. You could like all the ports.
I there's probably one or two ports that I would say never again.
Okay. Okay.
But no, so we've cruised a lot in the Caribbean. So that's where most of our cruising is. We've done the Mediterranean twice, and then we've done Alaska twice.
Okay.
So I would say if I probably had to pick a favorite, I'm gonna go with Saint Martin in the Caribbean. And one of the reasons that I like Saint Martin is you feel very, very safe, which is always good. I mean, and you're going to feel safe on most islands, but there's probably a couple where you might be a little uncomfortable, right?
Right.
We've never been uncomfortable on St. Martin. They've got a great taxi service, so you can just walk off the ship. If you do not want to book an excursion through Royal, you can just walk off the ship and grab a taxi and take it to wherever. It's very reasonably priced. And then kind of the fun thing about Saint Martin is it's half French, half Dutch. So you can visit both sides and you really get in one island two different cultural experiences. You can
Yes.
We always go to Marigot and they have the best chocolate croissants.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So that's always my draw for going, to the French side. But so I would say that's probably one reason why we really like St. Martin. We try to pick as many when we're picking our itineraries. We do try to pick one that has St. Martin on it as much as we can.
Okay. Yeah.
But honestly, I mean, seeing the blue roofs of Santorini, and standing at the top of the Acropolis in Athens, or visiting the Pantheon in Greece, or excuse me, Rome. I mean, all of those is just, you get so many opportunities to see so many things that you thought you would never get to experience when you take a cruise. So that's there's just so many things, right? And it's like entertainment.
Yeah.
You can just, there's so many beautiful ports of call. There's so much to see in this world.
Yes, definitely. Well, thank you for that. Thank you. So, after you've gone over the things that you like about Royal Caribbean, what's included with Royal Caribbean, what type of person or family should you recommend to try out a Royal Caribbean cruise?
I would recommend a cruise for anybody, unless
I
you
like that.
really hate water. And
Yeah.
there's some people that are like, I don't like deep water. So most of the time, well, I'll say never. You'll find yourself in water unless you want to be in water when you cruise. So don't let the fact that you're miles from somewhere kind of scare you off, right? But cruising really is for everybody. And one of the things, so when my clients, come to me for a consultation, that's what we ask about. Those are some of the things that I ask about, because what you want out of your vacation will help me, recommend choices to you. So I sometimes have older clients who really don't want kids around. Well, Royal is known as a family, as a family cruise line, right? Um, so Royal likes families, including kids. But if you're looking, the families want the bigger ships. They want the excitement of the Oasis class. They want all the bells and whistles. So a lot of times, if I have a client who doesn't want a ton of kids around, I would recommend one of the smaller ships. And I would recommend them to go certain times of the year where the kids are going to be in school. If ports of call are important to you, we might want to move you more towards the smaller ships, who typically have better itineraries than the larger classes of ships. So your Oasis, your Harmony, your Wonder, those are going to be very family friendly, lots of kids. Your ports of call are going to be a little less exotic, I will say. They usually make stops at Labadee and or Coco Cay, which are Royal Caribbean owned private islands. And you typically have a lot of sea days because there's so much to do on the ships. They want people to enjoy the ship.
Right.
So it really is for everybody. And like I said, as a travel advisor, that's my job, based upon what your travel goals are, is to really help you find the best ship and the best itinerary to meet those goals.
That's true. Very well said. Very, very well said.
Well,
I
thank you.
love it. Yes. All right. So we have a couple more. I have a couple more questions. So now we're going to turn to maybe not necessarily what's included with Royal Caribbean. What are you most interested in seeing that Royal Caribbean may do in the future, or something that was announced that you're looking forward to in the future with Royal Caribbean?
So I would say one thing that Royal Caribbean does well is have a pipeline of ships that just continue to kind of blow everybody's mind, right? So the Icon of the Seas is coming out. I think in January is going to be their first cruise with clients on it, with passengers on it. So that is coming out in 23. And from everything I see, right, it takes the Oasis class and it puts them on steroids.
There you go, right there.
There you go. There you go. I mean, so the Icon of the Seas it's going to be iconic, right?
Yes. Yeah.
They also have another new ship, and I had it in my head a minute ago, and it totally slipped out. But in 2024,
Are you going on the Icon of the Seas? Have you booked yet?
I have it booked for February.
Okay.
But we might change it. We might change it because I will say to everybody, the Icon is expensive.
It is
It's
very.
more expensive, because so that's the other thing people need to take in account when they're thinking about this. These larger ships are definitely more expensive. They're less budget friendly than the smaller ships. So I do have a reservation on the Icon, but we're talking about going with some other people, so we might move off of it and go a little bit more budget friendly.
Okay.
But so I think that's one thing that Royal does well is they're constantly, looking to come out with something new and continuing to up the game for their passengers. So I do think that's something that Royal does really well.
Yes. Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
Are there any changes that you would like Royal Caribbean to do, or
Yeah, I for anybody who's on some of the Royal Caribbean, I'll say Facebook groups. So I always, when my clients book with me, I always send them to some of the Facebook sites. So
okay.
there's additional information that they can maybe get from other passengers. Other passengers share their experiences. So I think that's good. I would say there's Royal Caribbean is making a lot of changes to their menus, and that is causing a lot of angst among passengers. So I understand why they're doing it. Everybody took a hit with the 2021 not sailing. There's a lot of food wasted on board ships. So I understand why it's hard. It's also hard for them to hire staff. That has been really, and it's not just Royal, but it's all cruise lines. Um, when they sent all their employees home, it's been difficult to get the staff back. So I understand the changes that they're making. But I would like them to really think carefully about the changes and making sure, because they do food so well, make
Yeah.
sure that they continue to do it well and offer options. And I think it's going to be okay. I think right now it's just change. Change is hard for people, especially for people who cruise a lot. But so if you're on the Facebook pages and you're reading all the angst, don't worry about the negativity. The food is still going to be good. It's just going to be a little different.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, all like you said, a lot of the cruise lines. There was an announcement made from, Carnival that a lot of people are not happy with. So, like you said, all the cruise lines are unfortunately
Yeah.
dealing with a lot of different changes.
Yeah.
So, that's something that hopefully after a while Royal Caribbean does kind of adjust, and the feedback maybe
Feedback is super important.
right.
But I'd also like to remind everybody, and this is something I probably should have said earlier, cruising is still one of the most family friendly,
Oh yeah.
budgeted ways to travel. You get your food, your hotel. You don't have to spend another dime if you don't want to, after you book, although yes, they do try to sell you all kinds of things. But so that's the other thing to keep in mind is some of the changes that they're making is really ways for them to still remain budget friendly. So, even though there's changes, even though there's price increases, it is still one of the most budget friendly ways to travel.
That's true. It's very, very valuable, in my opinion, traveling, cruising. So,
Very much so.
okay. So let's get a little messy.
Messy.
Why is Royal better than Carnival or Norwegian? Or is it better than Carnival or Norwegian?
So I would tell you, everybody has their own opinions about Carnival. I had a very, very bad experience with Carnival.
Okay.
This dates back. Carnival was actually going to be our very first cruise,
Okay.
and it was around. We we were leaving, I think it was like September 16th, 2001 on our cruise. And I don't know if you remember what happened September 11th, 2001.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, we all remember kind of the state that we were in, right, as a country. So my husband and I elected not to cruise. We had cruise insurance, we had all these things, and Carnival had said, we don't care, you either take the cruise or you lose your money. And I'm like, that's fine, like, you're a business, you have that choice. It left a bad taste in my mouth about Carnival, right? So I'm a little biased. So keep that in mind, people. I'm a little biased about Carnival because they still have my $1,500.
Oh man, I mean, that's definitely where you would that would make you not want to
Yeah.
look on
But
them.
so let me share though why I think Royal is better in that aspect, right? So if you buy the Royal insurance, because we had a situation where we thought at the last minute we wouldn't be able to travel. My daughter's passport was denied, and so we thought we wouldn't be able to travel. And it was an expensive cruise, and I was about ready to have a heart attack. And I called Royal, and I'm like, "What happens if we can't cruise?" And the person I spoke to was so kind. He's like, "Let me just look at your account first." He says, "Before you have a meltdown," he's like, "Let me look." And he says, "Oh, you don't have to worry." He said, "You've bought the Royal Caribbean insurance. And because you bought our insurance," he said, "if you can't show up, you will get a future cruise credit."
Okay.
So two similar, a little bit different, right? But two similar situations because we had bought the Carnival insurance and we had bought the Royal insurance. And for Carnival, I was told, tough luck, you're going to lose the money. Where Royal, it was, don't worry, you'll get future cruise credit. And it's still to that day, they say you'll get up to 90% of your future. If you can't cruise for whatever reason, if it's non-covered, you'll get up to 90% of your fare in future cruise credit.
Okay.
So I think those are two examples of how Royal versus Carnival, just in customer service, right? And they're very isolated, but those are two differences. I do think that the Carnival is much more of a fun boat. Not that Royal, we can have fun on Carnival, or on Royal, right? We can be fun. But I do think that Carnival has a little bit more of a reputation of being a party boat. The ships are beautiful. Carnival ships are beautiful. I'm sure that their food is good. I'm sure that their service is good. I think, my perception, right, is that they tend to be a little bit more of a party boat, where Royal does definitely cater to families. I've never cruised Norwegian. I was supposed to be on Norwegian back in 2020 and it was canceled, but I have friends who like it. They say that they like it. I've heard that there's pros and cons. I have cruised Princess. To be honest, I thought Princess was a nice line. I had no problems with Princess. So while I really am loyal to Royal, I do think that depending upon what you want, it might make sense for a client to go on Carnival or to go on Norwegian or to go on Princess. So, at the end of the day, there's a lot of similarities between them.
Yes, it is. It is. It
Yeah.
is. I had to bring it up there. I had to bring that up.
And I wasn't even going to tell my Carnival story, and it always, whenever anybody asks me about Carnival, it just comes out.
It's okay. It's okay. All right. So, we're going to touch on. Can you kind of go over some of the accommodations that people can find, and how are the accommodations like on a cruise ship compared to maybe like a standard hotel room?
Mm-hmm. So I'll just say right off the bat, right? Your staterooms are going to be smaller than a typical hotel room. They are going to be smaller. Unless you can get one of the Skyloft suites, like my husband and I were lucky enough to stay, where it's a 2-story room with multiple bathrooms. That was phenomenal. But it was it was a royal up, and we weren't. Those kind of rooms typically aren't in my family's budget.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
so I will say that there are 4 classes of rooms that um, look at for clients within those major class subclasses. But basically, you're going to have an interior option, which does not have any windows. They're going to be very small. They're going to be very small, but they're also going to be the most budget friendly. Then you have an ocean view, which will have a window or a porthole looking out. So you get sunlight, you can see outside, but there is no balcony. Then you'll have your balcony staterooms, which may or may not have an obstructed view. I always say it's really important to know what room you're getting, because you may have a lifeboat in front of you, and some people don't like that.
Right.
And then you have the suites, and the suites are just going to be bigger rooms, a little bit higher level of service, depending upon what ship you're on. You might get access to a special sun deck. You might get access to coastal kitchen. So just a little bit, nicer experience with that. So those are kind of your main categories. Like I said, they're going to be small. Not a lot of closet space. Your bathrooms are pretty small. You won't have a bathtub. You'll just have a shower up until you get to a junior suite. So, really understanding, that should be another thing that your travel advisor really walks you through when you're looking to book, is what's important for you that fits your budget.
Yes. 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 Yes, indeed. So yeah, I can't say that Royal Caribbean, out of all the cruise lines, they have. I mean, if you're talking about like the layout of their room, especially when you get to the suites,
Oh,
man, there are like no other like cruise line. Like like they have the best looking suites. I can say that. So
oh, amazing. I will tell you, like I said, we were lucky enough at the beginning of last year on the Allure to
okay.
get a one of the Skyloft suites, and it was amazing. We kind of laughed. So for those of you who don't know, most cruise lines have an option to upgrade. It's called Royals is called Royal Up. You bid on a room. It's um, you bid a price per person for the first 2 people in the room. And that's how we snagged that room. And I think we paid like an extra $400 or $500 for it. And we were
Wow.
kind of laughing to ourselves, and we're like, well, how do we go back, and cruise with the common folk next time? It was pretty amazing. And being in common folk, that's what we don't typically get that experience. But it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. I will
Yeah.
say that.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. Wow, Dawn. You have done such an amazing job explaining all things Royal Caribbean. This was wonderful.
Good.
I want to thank you for taking out of your busy schedule to come on here and, like I said, discuss all things about Royal Caribbean, why you love Royal Caribbean, and what's included with Royal Caribbean. So, where can people follow you on social media, and how can people book with you? They come on here, they look, they're like, oh my goodness, Dawn is giving all these gems, these tips. Where can they follow you, and how can they book with you?
Well, I appreciate you having me, Mike. So thank you for letting me share my thoughts about Royal Caribbean. So I am on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And The Road Now Traveled is my company name. So if you go to Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok and type in, search on The Road Now Traveled, you will find me. And then I do have a website. It's surprisingly called theroadnowtravel.com. I know that's a shocker, right? So if you go on there, there's a page where you can reach out to me, and we can schedule some time to talk and figure out really what it is that you are looking for. And I do specialize in cruises, as well as I always like to say kind of the pre and post, is, really helping you kind of do it bookend to bookend. And I also do other trips. It's just cruising is what I'm really passionate about and what I've done the most and can talk the most intelligently about. But you can call me for anything.
Awesome. Good, good, good. All right, so everyone. So if you enjoyed what she said, reach out to Dawn. She can book anyone anywhere in the United States. So don't worry if you're not in her
Yeah, you
area.
do not have to be in Wisconsin.
Right, right. We can book people anywhere in the United States. So, like I said, thank you, Dawn. I appreciate it. And man, this was a lot of great information. And I'm looking forward to having you again sometime down the road to discuss some other travel topics.
Anytime, Mike, anytime. And thank you again. I really do appreciate it.
All right, take care.
Have a good day. Bye.
Rock on. 1, 2, 1, 2. All aboard.